So I thought I'd give you a little tour of the full property here. We've got just over 7.5 acres. We just got this property in June of 2019. We had lived in the same house, rurally, but on the outskirts of a village for 21 years prior to purchasing this property. So we bought this property in 2019 in June. At the time, it was overgrown with goldenrod, scrub brush, sumac trees, briar bushes, you name it. I'll put a few pictures up there that we had at the time to kind of show you what it was like at the time. We closed on it in June, the 19th to be exact, of 2019. And immediately started to clear this back section here, which I'll show you in a moment. It's about a 2-acre section that we turned in to an orchard. Planting the fruit trees was the first thing that we did here to get those going. We planted a variety of pear trees, apple trees, and a couple peach trees. So I'll walk back there, I'll show you what we've got going on, and I'll show you what we got. As we walk down here towards the trees, you can see the right here, the goldenrod. This is what the entire property looked like, all 7.5 acres. We spent most of the summer of 2019 clearing this about 2-acre parcel and planted grass, had some grass just come in naturally, and we keep it mowed now. We have our orchard back here. And the house is all the way up there. Sun's setting, so it's pretty bright that way, but let's show you what we got going on here. So we've got 2 peach trees. We've got this one, and we've got one right here. Quick story behind the peach trees. When we first planted the peach trees, we didn't live on this property yet. We hadn't built the house where we were living. We were about 50 minutes away. So we came out here to plant the trees. And if you'll notice, I've got deer fencing around all the trees. Well, I'd left the deer fencing home. And so I says, well, I'll just plant the trees. I'll come back tomorrow and put the fencing around them. The trees were about 1.5 feet high when I planted them. Well, in a matter of 12 hours between me planting the trees and returning the next day to cage them, the deer had eaten them almost down to nothing. We have a very high deer population here. These trees have to be protected or they will get eaten up. So I wasn't even sure if these trees would live. Turns out they did come back. That one over there is a little nicer than this one I'm standing next to. That's got a single trunk. This one's split off in all kinds of different directions. I haven't trimmed it or anything. I want to see kind of what it does over the next year or so before I start doing some trimming on that. As we move down the row here, we've got two different kinds of pear trees. We've got kefir pears and we've got air pears. This is one of our kefir trees. As you can see, we're starting to produce a few pears of picking size, of decent size. These trees did bud nice in the spring, and have grown quite nicely over the past 2 years. This nest tree here is a kefir pear, or I'm sorry, an Ayers pear. We've got two of these, one budded, one didn't. This budded one here produced a ton of pears. There's probably a good dozen, maybe a little better on there. Those should be ready in the next couple weeks, maybe a month at the most. I did have some problems with this tree in the spring with beetles. I had to nip off the tops. The beetles had gotten in there and had howled it out. So we did have to lop this particular tree, but it lived and produced just fine. So we continue down the row. We've got another kefir pear tree. The kefers and the Ayers are cross-pollinators. That's why we planted them like that. This one again, it's got about a dozen peaches on it, or pears on it or so. You know, again, another couple weeks. All the trees have protective deer fencing. This is our second Ayers pear tree. This one did not bud or bloom at all in the spring, and therefore it has no pears on it. But again, I'm not disappointed or discouraged. These trees are only a little over, I've had them in the ground a little over 2 years, so they've got a lot of time yet to mature. Over here we've got another kefir pear tree. Our property goes back to that wood line and in there a little bit. We keep it mowed. Not certain what we're going to do with it at this point, but I'm sure we'll decide something in the future. Here's the first of our apple trees. These are young trees again. They've been in the ground less than 2 years. Growing very nicely though. This tree here has produced a couple apples. We had a couple last year. We've got a couple this year. Again, I know I should probably be picking off the buds in the spring, but it's just a time thing. I don't get back here to do it. So this one does have a few apples on it. We've picked 1 or 2 off this tree already also. And our last apple tree. Again, these trees have grown substantially in the past 2 years. And over the next 5 or 6 should really start producing good for us. So when we bought the property, this was the lone mature tree on the property. As you can see, it's surrounded by goldenrod. Well, it turns out that this is a cherry tree. I don't know what type of cherry, but it produces thousands of cherries every June. 3 years in a row now we've been able to pick from this tree, and they are delicious. And it was a nice little bonus to the property to already have a mature tree that we could harvest off of. So this is our poultry setup. Again, this is where we keep our turkeys in this coop here. That is 10 by 10, it's 100 square feet for 8 birds. Over here, right next to them, we've got our layers. That is also a 10 by 10 outdoor run. And then they've also got a coop. The ramp and an entry door. And then the back of the coop. Has a full door that opens up, and I also keep a waterer inside here, and their roosts. This is 8 by 4, so 32 square feet for at night. Plenty of room for the 9 birds that we have. We've got our laying run and coop. We've got 9 layers. We've got 4 Polish hens because Mrs. Crooked Acres thought that they looked cute. So that's what we had to end up with. We had started with 6 of those. 2 of them ended up being toms. So they went to freezer camp so we could keep the hens. And then we've also got 5 Easter eggers. We started with 6 Easter eggers. Again, 1 turned out to be a tom. He went to freezer camp. And we've got the 9 hens. These guys were all born the last week of March or the 1st of April. And a couple of the Polish hens are just starting to lay now. We're getting about 3-4 eggs a week. I think these Easter eggers are still about a month away from laying. But once they kick it up, production should increase rapidly. We're going to go ahead and change their water. They've got plenty of food. They'll live for at least another day or 2. So let's get that changed. What's up, turkeys? Talk to me. Gobble, gobble. Got 8 white broad-breasted turkeys. These guys were born in July. We picked them up on the 14th, I believe it was. So they're about 2 months old here. They do go to butcher on November 14th, about a week before Thanksgiving. I'm gonna give these guys some fresh food and water here. These 8 birds are drinking about 4 or 5 gallons of water a day now. Their food consumption has picked up remarkably. Got a little homemade feeder I built here. We've got to go fill that up. We're going to do that next. This is my homemade turkey feeder. This is nothing special. Just something I slapped together with some scrap lumber I had laying around. So the turkeys can eat out of the front side there. That top latch is open, so they can't poop in their food. It's on hinges. That's where you pour the food in. You close it, and they can eat handsomely there. Again, 8 broad-breasted white turkeys. They've had food in there all day. You put new food in and they think it's a treat or something. Hey, you late. Get over there. The rest of them are eating up. Get in there. There you go. Oh boy. Sit down, girl. This is Stella. Stella is the farm boss. She's a 7-year-old English Mastiff. She's in charge here. Seven years old for a Mastiff, and quite old. She's getting a little bit of arthritis in her back end. We had her to the vet about a month ago, and she actually had a torn ACL at some point in her life that we were unaware of. It healed. So in a year's time, we've had the house built. I put the driveway in. Got a 32 by 36 pole barn put up. All the lawn. The garden. The chicken and turkey coops. And I've just recently put this shed together. As you can see, Donald the barn cat is all the way on top of the rafters. I think they climb the ladder up there. I'm not quite sure how they get down. But that shed's about 80% complete. I'll have a video on that. I just slapped that together myself. So anyways, in 1 year's time, we built all of this. Thanks for watching our little homestead tour. If you liked what you've seen, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave us some comments, questions, whatever, and we'll try to answer them if we can. Thanks. Have a great day.